This is an excerpt from my book, Traveling the Wilderness Road. Some authorities suggest the Wilderness Road began at Fort Chiswell in Virginia on the Great Wagon Road, where the route from Philadelphia converged with the Richmond Road. Others claim the beginning of the road to be at Sapling Grove, today's Bristol, Virginia, since it was there that the Great Wagon Road narrowed, forcing travelers to abandon their wagons. The Daniel Boone Wilderness Trail Association has the origin of its auto tour at the Long Island of the Holston River in Kingsport, Tennessee. Travelers interested in retracing the pathway of those early pioneers can follow the Daniel Boone Wilderness Trail Association's auto tour route. However, it should be remembered that the road started as a mere horse trail. As it was improved to accommodate wagons, segments were relocated. Sometimes both sections were still in use, with travelers on horseback preferring the more direct route and those pulling wagons taking the longer, wider road. The auto tour starts in Kingsport, Tennessee, and ends in Cumberland Gap National Historical Park, where Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia converge. The authors of the driving tour estimate the trip to take 4 hours. Contrast that with the weeks it took Boone's party. The following is my interpretation of the Wilderness Road in the form of a travelogue. We will begin the tour at the Long Island of the Holston River, where Daniel Boone and his group started, and end in Middlesboro, Kentucky. We will get a limited sense of what it was like for the thousands of pioneers who poured through the valleys and over the mountains on their way westward. Our trip will also include stops at points of interest related to the pioneers' travels or other noteworthy photo opportunities, short side trips to points of interest that may not be related to the original route, travel tips, and points of interest where stopping is not allowed or is dangerous. We must use caution in areas where there is no safe place to pull off the road. Be mindful of private property and do not trespass. If we tire of our journey, let us not forget that even 7 years after Boone's expedition along this route, the road was described this way: from the rugged ascents and descent, which seemed absolutely impossible, and from the mire, which was up to my horse's knees, occasioned by heavy rains, which had fallen a few days before, I had hard work to go a mile in an hour. We can reach Kingsport by way of Interstate 81. It crosses northeast Tennessee and southwest Virginia. From I-81, take exit 57B onto I-26 West, US 23 North toward Kingsport. Travel about 8 miles on I-26, US 23, then take exit 1 to US 11W West Stone Drive. Turn left onto US 11W West Stone Drive and go 2.4 miles. We will cross the North Fork of the Holston River. Turn left onto Netherland Inn Road, the first traffic light after crossing the river bridge, and travel 0.7 mile. Cross the river again and make a hard right. This landing is at the confluence of the North and South Forks of the Holston River. The river got its name from Stephen Holston, an early settler who, in 1746, built a cabin near the river's headwaters in Virginia. At that time, it was thought to be no more than a creek. The Holston River flows southward from here to just east of Knoxville, Tennessee, where it joins with the French Broad River to form the Tennessee River. A wooden covered bridge once stood here in front of Rotherwood Mansion. The stately house on the west bank of the river is called Rotherwood Mansion. It was built in 1818 by Frederick A. Ross. Stories have been told that the house is haunted by the ghost of Mr. Ross's daughter, Rowena, as well as by the estate's second owner, Joshua Phipps, and others. Although some of the accounts are inconsistent with written history, these tales are entertaining. A Civil War trails sign here tells about the Battle of Kingsport that took place on December 13, 1864. Union General George Stoneman's forces under Generals Stephen G. Burbridge and Alvin C. Gillum arrived on the western bank of the Holston River. They massed across the river in the fields surrounding the Rotherwood Mansion. Confederate Colonel Richard C. Morgan, commanding 300 men of General Basil W. Duke's brigade, stood on the eastern bank to defend Kingsport. Because the old Ross Bridge was in disrepair, the well-positioned Confederate troops were confident in spite of being greatly outnumbered. Colonel Samuel Patton led 2 regiments about 3 miles up the western bank to Cloud's Ford, where they crossed the river. They made their way down the eastern bank and surprised the Confederates with a flank attack, capturing Morgan and driving his command toward Bristol. Drive 1 mile eastward on Netherland Inn Road to the Netherland Inn. The inn is on the left at the corner of Lilac Street. If we only want photographs, park in the lot on the right of Netherland Inn Road. If we want to tour the complex, turn left on Lilac Street, go up the hill and around the curve to the parking lot on the right. The historic Netherland Inn sits high above the Holston River. The building was originally constructed by William King in 1802 for the sole purpose of developing a boatyard from which to ship salt that was being mined in Saltville, Virginia. Kingsport essentially had its beginning here at Kingsport. The inn was sold at a sheriff's sale in 1818 to Richard Netherland, who immediately procured a stage contract. He established this beautiful 3-story building as an inn and tavern on the Great Wagon Road. The Netherland Inn became a popular stop, hosting many famous persons, including Presidents Andrew Jackson, Andrew Johnson, and James Polk. The complex also includes a cabin that was originally located in Southwest Virginia. Daniel and Rebecca Boone reportedly lived in this home from 1773 to 1775. Next to the Netherland Inn is an 1800s barn that was used as a stagecoach stop. It is currently the location of a Pioneer Transportation Museum. Go 3/10 of a mile on Netherland Inn Road and bear right at Riverfront Park. An historical marker reads, its west end, seen here in the river, the Long Island of the Holston, is 4 miles long. Tennessee's first National Historic Landmark, it was the site of numerous Revolutionary War events. It served as a sacred Cherokee Indian island until ceded to whites in 1806, long after ceding all land around it. The end of the first wagon road to the southwest, it was the point of origin for the state's earliest western expansion and the starting point for Boone's Wilderness Road into Kentucky. In 1777, the first July 4th celebration west of the mountains was held on this island near the trading post home of Colonel Joseph Martin. A riverside park at this location provides a view of the Long Island of the Holston River. Walk eastward along the pathway and we will see a footbridge that leads onto the island. If we cross the bridge, which is fairly stable, we can stand on the ground where Boone and his men gathered over 200 years ago. Long Island is approximately 4 miles long and averages 1/2 mile wide. It is bounded by the South Fork of the Holston River on the north side and by Big Sluice on the south. Long Island was called Great Island or Peace Island by the Cherokee, who considered it a place of refuge or sanctuary where nothing was killed. In July 1777, the Cherokee met here with the commissioners of Virginia and North Carolina and made peace with the whites. The Cherokee ceded to Virginia and North Carolina a large area of land and agreed to remain neutral in the colonies' war with England. Late in 1779, Colonel John Donaldson led a flotilla of flatboats from the Long Island on the long and arduous journey down the Holston River to the Tennessee River and up the Cumberland River to establish Cumberland Colony, the first permanent white settlement in Middle Tennessee. A boatyard was established at Long Island because of its importance as a starting point for the voyage downriver. The area is still known as the Boatyard District today. Eastman Chemical Company now occupies the southeast end of the Sacred Island, and the ball fields of Domtar Park are found on the northwest end. A small 3.61-acre tract of land on the Long Island of the Holston River was given back to the Cherokees by the city of Kingsport in 1976.